This is the review for Unit 4. So we're going to go through every single problem, explain how to do stuff, just so you can see it one more time. If you're still having problems with a certain section, we only had 4 seconds for this unit. Go back and watch one of the videos for that section. Okay, so here we go. First one is question number 1. We got a parabola here. Because the y is being squared, it's going to open to the left or right, and because there's a negative sign right there, it's going to open to the left. Okay, so whatever is in front and being squared is the direction it opens. It's going to tell you the direction it opens, and because that is being squared, it's going to go to the left. All right, if this x was being squared in front, then it would go up and down. All right, your vertex is h, k. H is always next to the x, k is always next to the y, and when they come out of the parentheses, they change signs. So your vertex will be 0, -3. I'm going to put that down here, 0, -3. All right, your focal distance, you take that -8, you divide it by, in this case, -4. It's either going to be positive or -4 that you divide by. So your p-value is going to be 2. All right. Since you're going to the left by 2, to find your focus point, you're going to put a point there. All right, so that focus point is going to be at -2, -3. Your directrix is going to be the opposite side of your vertex. It's going to be a vertical line in this case, 2 away from the vertex. So that's your your directrix. That line is going to be x is equal to 2. All right, and the last thing we're going to do is put the 2 extra points on either side of the focus point. You're going to take your focal distance, which is 2, and multiply it by 2 each time. So it's, 2 times 2 is 4, so we have a point here and a point, again. Come on, there we go. And a point here. Let's zoom in a little bit, and then we draw our parabola. That's it. Check another example. This time the x is being squared and in front. That means it's going to open up, and it's up because the 16 in front of the y plus 1 is being positive. If that 16 was negative, it would be going down. Your vertex is h, k, so it's going to be 2, -1. Let's focus in and plot that point. 2, -1 is right here. Your focal distance is 16 divided by 4, which is 4. Since we're going up, we're going to put the focal point 4 up from the vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that focal point is at 2, 3. All right, and your directrix is going to be 4 down from the vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to be a horizontal line right there. That is going to be y is equal to -5. All right, and then we're going to draw our last 2 points. You're going to multiply the focal distance by 2. So it's going to be 8. The point is going to be out here, and 2, 7, 8 right there. And from there, we can draw our graph. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. Okay. Just making sure I counted right. There we go. And there's your graph for that parabola. All right. Here we have to write an equation, so it's going to open to the right, which means it's going to be y squared in front of the equal sign. Your vertex is this point right here. A lot of times students will think the focus point is the vertex. That's not the case. That vertex is going to be at 0, -2. Okay, and your focal distance is the distance between the vertex and the focus point, which is p is equal to 2. Okay, so now we can build our equation. So the y is out in front. It's being squared. The x is in the back. The h is 0, so we can just get rid of that parentheses. We don't need it. You could put down x plus 0, x minus 0, I guess, if you really wanted to, but you don't have to. All right, this is going to be plus 2. Again, the signs change as they go in. We're going to take that focal distance, multiply it by 4, because it's going positive, so it's going to be 8. So that is your equation for that graph. Okay. Again, the y is in front, which is why it's going to the right, and also the 8 is positive, which is also the right. Okay. Multiplying your focal distance by 2 to get your the 8 value, and you have h comma k as your vertex. All right. Here we have, write the equation of a parabola with that information. Okay, so we're going to draw a small sketch. Okay, let's focus in on this one. So your focus point is negative 2 comma 4. So it's like up here. And y equals 0 is going to be, I'm going to a dotted line on, let's change signs or change colors there to make it easier to see. So y equals 0. That means, since we're given the focus point and the directrix, that means the vertex is going to be directly between the two of those things. This is the vertex. Okay, so that means it is at negative 2 comma 2. That is the vertex of your parabola. Okay, and since the focus point is above the vertex, we know the graph's going to look something like this. Okay, because that focus point is going to be inside the curve of the parabola. Okay, so now we know everything we need to know. Since it's going up, that means x will be in front. And it's going to be plus 2 because we changed the sign. Equals your p-value is 2. It's the distance between the vertex and the focus point. So we're going to multiply that by 4, which gives you 8. And y minus 2. And there you go. Okay. All right. Now we're getting to ellipses. The reason I know it's an ellipse, there's a plus sign. If it's a plus sign, it's an ellipse. Okay. So our center is h comma k, so it's going to be negative 3 comma positive 3. Remember, h is there, k is there. H is always next to the x, k is always next to the y. Your a value in this case for an ellipse, it always has to be bigger. All right. So that means it's going to be the square root of 36, which is 6. The b value is going to be 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. Okay. Let's look at some of the values on the graph before we find the focus points. So we're going to do negative 3 comma 3. That is our first point there. All right. Since the 6 or the 36 is underneath the x term, that means we know we're going to go left and right with the 6 value. So we're going to go here for this major axis length and then here. Since 4 is underneath the y, we're going to go up and down by 2. And this is our ellipse. Now we do have to find the focus points. You have a formula for this. C squared equals a squared minus b squared. It's a lot like the Pythagorean theorem, but there's a minus instead of a plus. Okay. We do know a squared and b squared. So we're going to find out that c is equal to the square root of 32, which if we use our calculator here, square root of 32 is 5.6, or yeah, we'll do 5.7. It's about 5.7. So we're going to make our best guess estimate of where the focal points are. I'm going to put them right there. And that is your graph. Remember, your focus points go on the major axis, which is the longer length of your ellipse. All right, here again is an ellipse because it's a plus. Our center is going to be 0 comma negative 2. Our a value is now the square root of 49, which is 7. Remember, in an ellipse, the a value is always bigger than the b value. It means b is going to be 3. Okay, so let's put these values down. So 0 comma negative 2. This time the a value is underneath the y, so we're going to go up and down by 7. We're going to go left and right by 3. So here's our ellipse. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to use find the focus points. So you got c squared equals a squared minus b squared. We're going to have 49 minus 9. C will equal the square root of 40. Let's figure out what that is 6.3. So 6.3 up, about there. Okay, and that is our graph for the ellipse. All right. Keep going now. We're going to write an equation of the ellipse. So our center, if we go along this axis here, and then the widest part of the ellipse, which looks like it's about here, this is your center point, which is negative 1 comma 0. Your A value is going to be based on the longest axis of your ellipse. If you are having problems finding where the center is, but you can figure out the A and B, you can just count the total distance and divide it by 2. All right, so we have, looks like 12 total, so that's 6 on each side. So that means it's going to be, A value is 6. Your B value is going to be 2. All right, so now we have all the information we need to write our equation of our ellipse. A value is, or sorry, the x term is always in front for an ellipse, so we're going to x plus 1. I'm going to square it, I'm going to plus. Since the y doesn't have a k value, it's just going to be squared itself. You've got to make sure you put the equals 1 to make it an ellipse. That's an important piece of the formula that people always forget. All right, now because our graph went up and down, it's orientated vertically. That means it's going to be, the a value is going to be underneath the y term. So 6 squared is 36. 2 squared is 4. And that is your equation for your ellipse. Next, we're going to draw a little sketch. Excuse me. We have -8, -7, so let's say it's there, -8 and 3, -6 and -2, and -10 and -2. So our ellipse is going to look like this. Okay, so there's a bunch of information that we can figure out from this. One, we can know the center because the x values are going to both -8s. The y values are both -2s. Okay, so we're going to have x plus 8 quantity squared plus y plus 2 quantity squared equals 1. Now we just have to figure out what the other numbers are. Okay, so since the graph is orientated vertically, which means the longest side is going up and down, and that distance is 10 total, so divide that by 2, you get 5, and then you square it, you get 25. So that's what the a value is going to be. Side to side, from -6 to -10 is 4. Divide that by 2 is 2, and square it is back to 4, and that's going to be your b value. All right, and that's how you can figure out the equation of your ellipse given those 4 points. All right, let's try the same idea. In this case, we're given some focus points and a major axis length. It's going to be 10. So -6, 2 is over here. 0, 2 is right here. All right, because our focus points are horizontally orientated, not vertically, we know the major axis length is going to be horizontally as well because the focus points are on the major axis length. All right, we can also tell the center of our ellipse. It's right in the middle of the 2 focus points, which means it must be at -3, 2. So our center is at -3, 2. All right, if our major axis length is 10, it's going to be out 10 this way, so we can make kind of our ellipse. So we can start building our equation. So it's going to be x plus 3, quantity squared, plus, because it's an ellipse, y minus 2, quantity squared, equals 1. The major axis length is the a value. The minor would be the b. Since the major axis length is 10, that means we're going to have 100 underneath the x term. And we have to figure out what the b value is going to be. All right. So we look at the formula for the focus points. So we know the focus points are 3 away from the center. So our c value is 3. This is the center. Let's see, how do we write this? Let's go back. So we have c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Our c value is 3. The a value is 10. And we're trying to find the b value. So that's our equation. So we're going to do 9 minus 100. It's going to give us -91. But it's negative b. Let's make that a little bit clearer, sorry. All right, we divide both sides by -1. You're going to get b squared is equal to positive 91. All right, we don't care what b is. We just care what b squared is because that's what's going in our equation. So this would be 91. All right. Next, number 10. Now this is a hyperbola. And the reason I know it's a hyperbola is because there's a minus sign there. If this is an ellipse, that would be a plus. So the center still works, all this stuff works basically the same as an ellipse, but you're going to write a hyperbola instead. The only thing that's really that different is how to construct the graph and then the focal distance formula. So the center is going to be 2, 0 as h, k. H, k works the same way as an ellipse. Okay, your a value, in this case, for a hyperbola, the a value does not have to be bigger, it's just going to be first. So the a value here is going to be 4, the b value is going to be 5. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw our point in the center. Is at 2, 0. Since the a term is underneath the x, it's going to go left and right by 4. And since the b value is underneath the y, it's going to go up and down by 5. We're going to draw a box, a dotted box. Okay, through our dotted box, we're going to make some diagonal lines through the corners of the boxes. These are going to be our boundaries for our graph. Okay. Now, because the x is in front and positive versus the y that's in back and negative, the graph's going to go along the x-axis. So we're going to have a graph that looks like this. Notice I'm drawing the vertex of this parabola shape on the point on the box. Okay. Now we're not done, we still have to draw the focal points, but we've got to find the focal length first. So we do this by using the formula. Now it's very similar to the ellipse formula. It's c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Okay, so an ellipse is plus in the equation but minus in the formula. Hyperbola is the reverse. It's minus in the formula and plus in the equation. Okay, so we have c squared is equal to a is 16, a squared is 16, and b squared is 25. So 16 plus 25 gives us 41. The square root of 41 is 6.4. So you go from our center point out 6.4, which is going to put it about here, and then 6.4 about there. So those are your focal points for your graph. Let's try that again. Again, we were given a hyperbola because there's a minus sign. Our center is going to be -4, 4. So let's put that point down there. A value is first. This time it's the square root of 36, which is 6. B value is 3. The square root of 9. So because the 36 is underneath the x term, we're going to again go left and right. So we're going to go 6 to the left and right from our point, and 3 up and down. Draw our little box. Make our diagonal lines through the corners of the box. Okay. Then we can draw our graph. Now this graph is going to be off the grid, which is fine. It's fine. Notice the center of your vertex parts of your hyperbola are on the points on the box. All right, and finally we're going to do focal length. So we have c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So our c squared is equal to 36. It's ugly. 36 plus 9. So 36 plus 9, the square root of 45 is 6.7. So we're going to go, let's say it's right there, 6.7. I'm going to zoom in right there. And there's your graph of your hyperbola. Okay. Now we have the equation. Now we have to find the, we have the graph, we have to find the equation. The center is right where those two things are, where the two lines intersect. So it's going to be -1, 0. All right. Your a value is always going to be the value that is where the graph is. So up 1, 2, let's say it's 3. So that's going to be 3 as your a value. Your b value is going to be 2. It's the other side-to-side part in this case. Okay. And your focal length, well, you don't need the focal length for this because that's not part of your equation. Okay, so now one of the things about this is because the graph is going up and down, that means y is positive and in front. The first two examples we saw for hyperbolas, the x was positive in front. That's why the graph went left and right. Now, because the graph's going up and down, excuse me, the graph's going to go, the equation is going to start with y. So we're going to have y squared, there is no k, minus x plus 1 quantity squared. Make sure they have that equals 1 in there. That's an important piece of your equation. All right, the a value is 3, so we're going to have 9. The b value is 2, so we're going to have 4. And that is the equation of your ellipse. Or sorry, your hyperbola. All right, it said the same thing. All right, again, you don't need the focal length because it's not part of your equation. Let's try that again. Again, our point is right here. Okay. So that is 3, 3. All right. Now the graph is going left and right. It is going left by 3. So your a value is 3. Your b value is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we don't need the focal length because we're writing the equation, and the focal length is not part of the equation. So now the graph's going left and right. So that means x is going to be out in front. Again, minus because it is a hyperbola. Equals 1. Very important that we don't forget that. Make it an equation. All right, so a is 3, which means it's going to be 9 here, and 16 underneath the y. And that is your equation for a hyperbola. Here's a quick another equation of a parabola. We're going to go back in time. It's a little goofy, but it's fine. All right, so again, make a little sketch and graph these. So 5, 3 is about yay, and then 2, 3 is about there. Since the vertex and the focus point is, since the focus point has to be in the curve of the vertex or of the parabola, that means your graph's going to go like this. All right, which means you're going to have a y out in front, and it's going to be y minus 3 quantity squared equals, I'm going to put x minus 5 in the back. It is not squared because it's a parabola. Now I'll have to just figure out what is the distance between the focus point and the vertex, and that is 3, which means and it's going to be negative because we're going to the left. So it's going to be negative 3 times 4, which is 12. And that is your equation of the parabola. All right, last couple things. We have circles. All right, the center of your circle, again, h, k, like we found the center of your ellipse or your hyperbola, or the vertex of your parabola. So h is going to be negative 3, k is going to be positive 1. Your radius is going to be the square root of 36, which is 6. So we go negative 3, 1, which is going to be right there. We're going to go up by 6, left by 6, down by 6, and to the right by 6. And draw the best circle you can. I missed the point, but that's okay. It's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. And that's it. For this one, this is the general form of the circle equation. We've got to switch this up, okay? So we're going to show you the work for how to do this. So we're going to take the 8 and the 10, and we're going to divide them by 2. And we're going to square those answers. So we're going to have, let's put it down, where do we want to put it? We'll put it right here. We're going to have x squared plus y squared plus 8x minus 10y plus 5. And then the 8 divided by 2 is 4, and squared is 16. And negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and squared is going to be positive 25. So we're going to put that on both sides of the equal sign. Here's our equal sign. We're going to put that on both sides. Okay. We're then going to rearrange everything so that the pieces that belong together are next to each other, which includes the x squared, the 8x, oops, the y, the 16, then the y squared, the negative 10y, the 25, and everything else is going to move to the other side. So we have the 16 the 25 on the right-hand side of the equal sign, and now we're going to subtract 5 from that. So 16 plus 20 is going to be 36. Okay, so this 5 has to move over. These two values went with the 8x and the negative 10y. Okay, now we're going to factor the x values and the y values. You're going to have x, I'm going to put it in the bottom there. You're going to have x plus 4, quantity squared, plus, because it's a circle, y minus 5, quantity squared, equals 36. And that is your equation. Now that you have that equation done, the center is going to be negative 4, 5, and your radius is going to be 6. So negative 4, 5 is going to be up here. Your radius is 6. I'm going to erase this arrow. So it's going to be a little bit off the graph. But that's okay. Not too shabby of a circle. All right. Now we're going to try and find the equation of the circle. Again, you're going to find the middle. So it looks like the middle is here. And then here. Looks like this point is the middle. So that point is at negative 2, negative 1. Your radius is, that's 5, 6, 7. Let's make sure it's all the same. That's 7 that way. So yeah, it looks like it's 7. So we will write our equation. We're going to have x plus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 49. All right, and that is your equation for that circle. Last one, it's a kind of like an ellipse, but this time it's a circle. Okay, so you can draw a little bit of a sketch. We have 5, 6, 5, negative 2, 9, 2, and 1, 2. Okay. So kind of like how we did this problem with the ellipses, these are your x values, these are your y values that's the 5s are the h's, the 2s are the k's in the center of your circle. So we have x minus 5, quantity squared, plus y minus 2, quantity squared, equals, I'm going to figure out the distance between these points. So it looks like it's going to be 8 is the total distance. So half that distance is 4. I'm going to square that 4 to give you 16. And that is going to be your equation for this circle. All right, last thing is the word problems. We spared you from some of the other word problems. In the past, we've done word problems with the ellipses and hyperbolas. I don't think we had circle word problems, but we're only going to be working with the parabolic word problems. Excuse me. So again, you want to draw a smart picture with these. These have two pieces to their standards. There's the 1.1 and the 5.3, so make sure you do these problems. It has two different pieces to it. So we're going to draw our picture. Here's our picture, your parabolic arch. A span of 120 feet, which means half and half is 60 and 60. All right, the maximum height is 25, so we're going to start putting down some points. Okay, so this h, k is 0, 25. This x, y is 60, 0. Okay. We want to do two things. We want to find the equation of the parabola and determine the height of the parabola 15 feet from the center. Those are the two things we have to do for this problem. So let's do the first one by finding the equation of the parabola. So it is a parabola that's upside down, which means since it's going up and down, the x is going to go in front. Let's make this bigger. The x is going to go in front. Our h is 0. Our k is going to be negative 25. We do minus 4 times p. It's minus 4 because it's 4 for all parabolas that we're using. And it's negative because the graph is going upside down. All right, the other thing we can do is we can throw in the x and the y value, so the 60 and the 0. So we have 60 squared equals negative 4p times negative 25, because y is 0. Okay, well, 60 squared is 3,600 equals 4 times 25 is going to be 100p. Divide both sides by 100. P will equal 36. Okay, so now what we can do is we can write our equation for this. So our equation is x squared equals negative 4 times 36, which is 144, y minus 25. This is the equation that we're going to have. All right, so that's the first answer. So this is answer number 1. All right, for answer number 2, we want to find out what is the height of the parabola 15 feet from the center. So if we go out 15 feet from the center of the parabola and go up, we want to find out what this point is. So that's 15 feet, but we don't know the y value. Well, all we have to do is put 15 in for the x term, and then solve for y. So 15 squared is going to be 225 equals, we got negative 144y plus 144 times 25 is 3,600. All right, I'm going to subtract 3,600 from both sides. Minus 3,600, and we'll get negative 3,375 equals negative 144y. Now we're going to divide both sides by negative 144. We will get y is equal to 23.44. We'll just round up that last number. And that is how tall the parabola is, 15 feet from the center. Okay, makes some sense because it's less than 25, which is the highest part. So that's good. It looks good. All right, last one, number 18. Sorry, number 20, number 18. So we have, again, our picture. Okay, parabolic dish, diameter of 50 inches. So that means it's 25 and 25. That means this point is 25, 0. Focal distance of the satellite's receiver is 8 inches. So that means the p-value is equal to 8. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're missing p part of our vertex of our parabola. We do know part of it, the h value. The first one is going to be 0, k. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write our equation just like before and put in the information that we do have. We know that it's going to be x squared. All right. The vertex is, the h value is 0, so we don't need to write that one. Equals, if the graph is going down, it's going to be negative. We're going to multiply the p value by 4, so it's going to be negative 32. And then the y value minus k. Okay, now we do know though this time what the y value is and the x value because we have this point. So the point is 25 squared equals negative 32 times 0 minus k. So we have 25 squared is 625. 32 times negative 32 times negative k is positive 32k. Divide both sides by 32. K will equal 19.5. So that is the depth of the dish, 19.5. And that is it. That is the review for the test. Again, I suggest if you're having questions about a specific topic, like circles or parabolas or whatever, go back and watch those videos for that specific thing as well. The videos aren't very long. Also, if you need help at any point in time, you can always just reach out to me, email me, come to a Zoom session. I'm always there on Zoom. Even if you don't have to be there, I'm still there waiting for somebody to come and ask me a question. All right? Good luck with the test this